Hello, fellow Spark of the Cosmos on a meat joyride. It is I, Dave Makes Noises, the Flava Flav of Dungeons & Dragons Storytime on YouTube. Just wanted to let you know that today's video is brought to you by our friends over at Campfire Blaze, but we will touch on that in a second. Now, I ask you, what devious puzzle have you or your players gotten stuck at? Part 1. One of my groups were doing a narrated escape room I put together for their Halloween session. The party was split into 2 rooms, a dining hall and the kitchen, and were tasked to appease the spirits by completing the banquet and serving dessert. This would end the haunting of the mansion and bind the mansion to the plane. If they succeeded, the party would earn the mansion as their home base. They were doing pretty well, but used their lifeline on a number puzzle that they felt they were taking too long to decode. As a result, they couldn't figure out how to open the display case that held the golden platter they needed to serve the pie on. The handle was a dragon's head, and each time they reached for it, the handle would animate and bite the hand. The party tried all the food that they had available to them, attempting to appease the dragon, but it simply ate the food and refused to open. I described it as your hand approaches, the dragon head reaches its head out and bites it. As your hand remains there, it continues to chew on it. The party needed to gum up the dragon's mouth to open the case. Literally. The party in the kitchen had access to gumballs the entire time in their list of ingredients and didn't consider to use them to feed the dragon. The gum would have got stuck in its mouth and allowed the party to open the case. Instead, the party tried to break the rules the spirits had imposed on them by using force to open the case. This had caused the entire mansion to fade from existence, trapping the spirits eternally to the 9 hells for another 30 years. The party comedically fell roughly 20 feet to the ground below as the mansion disappeared. It was the last step they needed to solve to earn their prize. I was rather disappointed they missed it, as if the kitchen party had said what they had available in the ingredient list, they might have figured it out. If you're struggling to plan your next TPK, then check out Campfire Blaze. Blaze is a browser-based suite of tools that helps you keep your campaigns organized. Edit character sheets in real time to lay the smack down on your players. Create articles for easy reference while scheming your dastardly deeds. Create character sheets and design branching timelines to stay one step ahead of your players no matter how unexpected their choices. Expand Blaze's free version by only purchasing the tools you need and own them forever. You can even build your own subscription plan just to pay for the features you need. Add modules for as little as 50 cents, or unlock everything for a few dollars a month with a 30-day return policy. Speed your players along to their unavoidable demise by upgrading to Campfire Blaze. You deserve a tabletop RPG software suite that can visually organize the most complex evil machinations you can dream up. Create better campaigns faster with Campfire Blaze. Check out the link in the description below. Thank you, Campfire, for sponsoring the video. Back to the show. I have one that I came up with that I really didn't think would be that hard, but they absolutely couldn't figure it out. They come into a room, and it appears to be a dining area in an abandoned dwarven excavation site. There are 2 tables, each with all chairs pushed in properly, except for 1 chair at each table. In the corner there are 3 casks, 2 standing upright and another tipped over. On the north side of the room are 6 boxes, 5 stacked in an unfinished triangle, and 1 on the ground. Basically, all they had to do was push in the chairs that aren't pushed in, untip the tipped over cask, and stack the last box on the ground to finish the triangle, and a secret room would have opened up, giving them access to 3 very powerful magic items. But nah, they broke all the chairs and burned the boxes and casks. They really thought that would work. Now they'll never be able to open it. My first DM designed a puzzle which required a slightly curved, monotonous hallway and hidden teleport trap. We'd walk down this corridor that seemed endless, but was in fact about 80 feet long. It wasn't until one of us had the bright idea to draw a line of chalk along the wall that we guessed was happening. In game time, we spent about 3 hours traveling down that same 80-foot stretch of hallway. Oof, y'all got dude. The puzzle was simple. They were going into a local tomb dedicated to the local deity, a water spirit. There was a poem written in alternating Dwarven and Celestial. The poem pretty much translated to, say the password or join the people buried here. By the way, the password lies hidden within the deity's domain/true name. For etymological reasons related to the deity in question, I accepted any phrase meaning a natural body of water, be it a lake, river, or ocean, as long as it was given in one of the aforementioned 2 languages. But the riddle did specify that it had to be the origin of his name rather than his name. The doorway, rather than a doorstep, had a small moat, which, if no valid password was spoken and someone tried to step across, would rise up into a tidal wave spell, knocking the party over and dealing some damage. knocking the party down an empty hallway and knocking them prone. The party ended up trying the regular name of the spirit and got washed away. They tried some of his fancy titles, none of which related to his aspect as a water god, as hinted at both by the request for etymology, carvings of cresting waves on the wall, and the nature of the obstacle, and got knocked on their ass again. The dwarven monk, a local worshipper of this deity, starts holding an impassioned speech, beseeching this spirit to let them pass, crying passionately, entirely in Dwarvish, and deactivates the trap. Player finishes the speech and asks me whether that did anything. Now here I want to note, the player hasn't stepped across the moat, and none of the players have Detect Magic or a similar spell. Nothing happens. I did give inspiration for the excellent roleplay, but they already had an unspent inspiration, and you can't hoard that. They sat there for an hour, throwing the entire dictionary at the door, tried all kinds of things, but never thought to go through the now unlocked doorway. Eventually, I had to just tell one of them what had happened, and explain to the rager that they had been sitting in front of an unlocked door for over an hour. The moral of the story, always include an audio-visual indication of a puzzle being solved. It was a stupid, simple puzzle that my players got stuck on. Really stupid simple. It was a door that all they had to do was knock on. That is it. But for some reason, they did not even try that. Instead, they break 3 sets of lockpicks with nat 1s out of about a dozen rolls. The door was not locked. After they finally actually believed it was not locked, they kept just opening the door. Every time they did that, a mage hand appeared and slapped the one who opened it, then closed the door again. It took another couple dozen tries before they stopped that. It took them over 45 minutes to try knocking. It was a mansion I made to play with gravity-based puzzles. In the very first room, which I made to teach them what the puzzles would revolve around, there was a pressure pad on the ceiling which would open the door. There was also a button labeled Desynchronized Material Density, which would make the walls and ceiling much more dense. So much so that their gravitational pull would cancel out that of the planet. The players had no idea what desynchronized material density meant, and assumed this was some kind of trap. So they tried damn near everything to hit that pressure pad. The entire mansion was in an anti-magic field, so they couldn't fly up there. They threw things, threw each other, stacked up in a tower. It was a nightmare. I had to directly tell them to press the button after an hour of this. Then they floated up to the pressure pad and hit it. If they couldn't get that, they'll never make it through the rest of the mansion. The Temporal Chair. A simple yet devious puzzle devised by a gnome wizard who had decided he wants to mess with the party. The trick is simple. The party notices a wooden chair in front of them in the middle of their path on the way through the forest. Strange. At first they try to walk past it, but the chair stays a good 10 feet away at all times, and the party does not feel like they are getting any further through the forest as they move. Still, they try to walk for an hour. No luck. Next, they begin throwing things at the chair. Rocks, some javelins. They damage the chair, but after it goes past the chair, they cannot retrieve their weapons, as they cannot move past the chair to progress, just walk in place almost. The chair also seems to reform from almost anything they do from it. An ornate, beautiful wooden chair. To give some context, all that needed to happen was 3 or more of the 6 party members needed to do something, an effect, spell, arrow, anything, at once, and for damage, one person had to do more than 25 damage in one attack, as the goal was to show that multiple people needed to work together to get this chair to disappear. Alas, it ended up being the rogue who cast and crit on a chromatic orb, dealing 26 damage with a higher level spell slot, finally ending the chair. Chairs are now infamous in my campaigns as a symbol of stupid puzzles. Hello, my sweet little cinnamon twists of infinite cosmic good, and thank you for sugaring our sweet, sweet community with your attention today. Just wanted to thank our sponsor, Campfire, again, for supporting the channel for the past few months. Please check out Campfire Blaze in the links below. If you're a DM or a player looking for a group, you may have some luck on MrRipper's Group Finder Discord server. And if you're looking to share your story with us, please do so on our official subreddit, r/MrRipper. As always, if you have a devious puzzle you'd like to share with us, feel free to leave it in the comments below on this video. If you're wondering where our weekly D&D stream went, we have relocated it to twitch.tv/fire_n_dice. And Ripper will be joining us on the adventure soon, once he's got his studio all set up. My hope for you today is that you dedicate an hour a day, every day, in the coming week, to something that brings you unbridled joy. It could be gaming, art, talking with friends. For me, it's music and practicing and learning harmony and inversions and stuff like that. When we focus on that stuff, everything else just seems to get a bit easier. If you love me and want me to be happy, Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Dave Makes Noises, or check out my website, www.davemakesnoises.com. Don't ever forget that we love you here at Rip Daddy's house. Please like for Advantage and sub for Nat20s. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time.